What's going on, guys? This is Gainz Gaming. Today we're going to be talking about the best performing commanders I had in the Siege of Orleans KVK. So obviously I have covered this pretty extensively already, but we did lose this KVK. We've been in our zone for a couple weeks now. We did not even get to Kingsland due to obviously 1034 being just an insane kingdom. And I want to detail the best commanders I had in this KVK, which commanders had the most kills, which commander pairings had the most kills, and what equipment and armaments I was using throughout this KVK. So the commander pairings I was using throughout KVK kind of changed toward the end, just with how the fighting was changing, with 1034 just absolutely dominating and us kind of realizing that we weren't going to win KVK. So I did kind of adjust some of the pairings I had going on, but for the majority of the KVK, I was using Nevsky with Joan Prime, I was using Scipio with Harald, I was using Guan with Alex, and I was using Boudica with Zhuge Liang. And so these were my main four pairings I was using for majority of the KVK. However, toward the end of the KVK, I believe I even did this on stream, I was like so fed up with 1034 and like how much they were destroying us that I literally like basically rage maxed Pakal. And this like I'm probably gonna look back on this in a couple months, be like, oh my gosh, I was like so stupid for doing this, but I did it because I had the heads to do it. I still have enough heads for the next cavalry commander if I want to fully max him or whatever I want to do with my account. But I had the excess gold heads, and so I decided, screw it, I'm just going to max Pakal because I just want to annoy the crap out of these people that are just destroying me so bad, because I was literally taking like 1 to 5 trades on basically every single fight I was going into, and the only way that we were able to trade positive was through city popping, which is a demoralizing aspect of the game when your enemy is just so strong that the only way you can actually trade like even barely positive, it wasn't even that positive, but just barely positive, was by jumping out of your city and jumping right back in. And that's really kind of a testament to how good 1034 was in this KVK as well, because they were just so absolutely strong. Just all the max tech players, the gear that they had, the armaments that they had, just the auxiliary skills they had as well, that changed things a ton here as well in this KVK. But like I said, I did max Pakal at the end of this KVK, so the kills I got from him were very minimal, just because it was in the last couple weeks of fighting, actually probably the last week of fighting I had that I was using Pakal with. But in total, I did use 8 commanders that we're going to be covering today. So we are going to start with the number 8 commander going up to number 1. So the number 8 commander in total kills throughout this KVK was Guan Yu. So Guan Yu was my least performing commander in kills. And I talked about this last KVK too when I made this video. And just the fact that Guan is just not as good as he used to be. And one thing that is really important to consider as well with Guan Yu is that you're not really using him to rack up a ton of kills or a ton of kill points. You're using him for his silence. That's one thing I need to distinguish here, is that I use Guan Yu to silence the enemy. I don't use Guan Yu to rack up a ton of kills. So that's one important distinction I wanted to make right away. So at the beginning of KVK, Guan had 15.47 million kills. He gained 1.99 million kills, so just under 2 million kills. He is now sitting here just under 17.5 million total kills. Next here on this list, this really shocked me, honestly. The next on this list was actually Scipio. And the reason why this shocks me is because last KVK, Scipio, I believe, was a top 3 commander for me in, total kills. And so I was really shocked at how low Scipio was on this list. But Scipio started KVK at 15,583,000 kills and ended KVK at 18.59 million kills. So he gained just over 3 million kills throughout the KVK. So when I was running the Guan Scipio pairing toward the end of KVK, and so my Guan Scipio pairing actually only amounted to just over 5 million kills, which, like I said, really, really shocks me. Number 6 on this list, and like I said before, this wasn't until the very end of KVK that I actually invested in him, but Pakal ranked number 6 on this list. He had 0 kills at the beginning of KVK because obviously I had not invested into him. And so he finished KVK with just over 3 million kills, so just barely more than Scipio. And obviously this came almost entirely from city popping. I did actually use him a little bit in the field, and he did very, very well actually, because if he gets ignored, he can rack up a lot of kills with Harald as his secondary. And so I was actually pleasantly surprised with how Pakal Harald performed in the field. Obviously, they bring pretty much 0 value to the murder ball. It's really only there for individual kill points. And that's something that's also important to distinguish about certain commanders and certain commander pairings that I would recommend. And typically I would recommend going into pairings that are going to elevate your murder ball rather than elevating your individual kill points. And obviously I was not investing into Pakal to use him in the field. I was investing into him to just annoy the crap out of the people that were just destroying us, which I know is extremely petty, but I was so fed up. You can go back and watch this on live too, when I did this on the live stream. And I did a vote in my live stream as well. And I think it was like 85% of people said, yeah, you should max him, just do it. And even Redline was like, yeah, just go for it, because he was in my live stream at the time as well. So we went ahead and maxed Pakal, and you can see he ranked number 6 on my list here in total kills. Number 5 here, we have Zhuge. He started KVK at 0 kills, just like Pakal. I had not used him yet. He finished at 3.1 million kills. So this actually really surprised me as well, that Zhuge, I used him throughout the entire KVK, and he only got 3.1 million kills, barely more than Pakal. And then next here on this list, we have Boudica Prime. Boudica Prime started KVK at 7.992 million kills, and she gained 3.23 million kills, finishing at 11.2 million. So she gained a pretty fair amount, just over 3.2 million kills throughout KVK. And so my Boudica Zhuge pairing totaled 6.33 million kills throughout this KVK. And this was 3rd place in the pairings for total kills. Number 4 was Guan Scipio. Number 3 is Boudica Zhuge. Next here on my list is going to be Harald. And this is a commander that was on my top list last KVK as well. And people were really shocked at how high Harald actually was. So Harald at the beginning of KVK had 20,749,000 kills. And you can see he gained 4.36 million kills, finishing just over 25.1 million kills. And so when we look at the pairings, my Pakal Harald pairing surpassed 7.4 million total kills from both, like I said, city popping and also fighting in the field. When I had instances where Pakal Harald was going untouched and, would literally be like lasting like 2 minutes in the field without even being targeted, like it would surpass so many kills, because like it would just get so much value from Harald's active skill of using that axe and just getting so much value. It's kind of crazy how much you can get from Harald if your Pakal Harald goes untouched, which often it really does. So I was really impressed with how well Harald performed in this KVK. And these next two should not surprise you. My number 2 commander, just like last KVK, was Joan Prime. And so Joan Prime started KVK at 8,085,000 kills. She gained 4.73 million kills, finishing at 12.8 million kills. And then, of course, number 1, I'm sure you guessed it, it was Nevsky. Nevsky is absolutely insane. I love Nevsky. He is probably my favorite commander in the game right now. For so much value in the open field. I still don't think he's the number 1 for murder ball effectiveness. I think Scipio still is, but I think if you're just looking for overall kill points, Nevsky is 100% the way to go because of how much damage he really does. And so Nevsky started KVK at 16.9 million kills, finished at just over 22 million kills, so he surpassed 5.1 million total kills throughout this KVK. And this pairing, Nevsky Joan, amounted 9.85 million kills. So this pairing was almost about 1/3 of my total kills in this KVK, because I finished just over my 30 million kills for this KVK. And so Nevsky Joan almost made up 10 million of those 30 million kills, which is absolutely insane that these two commanders had that many kills. And so next here, I want to look at the gear here as well. So we'll start with Guan Yu, since he was my 4th performing pairing, my Guan Yu and Scipio. So this was the gear I was using on my Guan Yu. I do have the Eternal Empire helmet and the boots as well. I did craft these as KVK. I also have the web and the drums on my Guan as well. We have the Hope Cloak, we have the blue shield, and then we also have Set's Brutality here, and then obviously Correct's Humility. So this is my set on, this is my worst infantry set, my second out of the 2. And so this is the set I upgraded before KVK. And, I didn't get any procs, unfortunately. But this is my set on my Guan. The set that I had on my Pakal, I have my Scipio right now. And this was what I wore for my Pakal. So I had the Eternal Empire 4-piece set. I had the helmet, the shield, the gloves, and the boots. I also had the Hope Cloak, Curix Humility, ring, and crit horn as well. So this was really, really good on my pakal. On my boudica, this is what I had on my boudica. I did get this crit last KVK. Unfortunately, I crafted a ring and the gloves, and I crit the gloves, so I'm still kind of bummed about that. But, I mean, it's my second crit out of like 25 legendaries that I've crafted, so it's pretty bad luck, but, you know, a crit is a crit, you know. So I still do have some of the revival set, so I have 2 out of the 4. I have the helmet and the legs for the defense, and then I also have the Golden Age sword. I have the Dragon's Breath van braces and the chest piece. Then I also have the flame treads for the archer health, as well as a ring and a horn. And then finally, for my nevsky, this is my cav gear, which I'm very, very happy with as of right now. So I do have the Hellish Wasteland set. I have 4 out of the 6 right now. So I still have Navarre's Control, and I also have the Gladiator piece here as well. And then obviously I have the ring and then the dagger on my nevsky. Next here we can take a look at the armaments. I have not touched these since KVK ended. So when we take a look at nevsky, my cavalry is really, really good. So I'm very, very happy with my cavalry. So I do have 4.9% attack, 3.9% defense, and 9.7% health, as well as 2.3% march speed. I also have Bellicose, which is a 10% chance to increase 5% bonus to all damage. I also have Vitality for an extra 3.5% health, and Resistant for 2.5% extra skill damage, and Resistant for 2.5% extra counterattack damage. So my calves are really, really good. I'm very happy with where cavalry is right now. Next year we'll talk about boudica. So this is what I had on my boudica. Not as good, but still pretty solid. I do have Vitality, which is 3.5% health. So that gives me a little bit of boost to the 6.8% health, 5.5% defense, and 4.5% attack. Next year, we'll look at my pakal. So pakal, not as great. I don't really have many things for the arch formation. And, you know, you could argue I could use the arch formation or the hollow square formation. I was using the arch formation for using it in the open field. I didn't switch to the hollow square, which would have been, you know, beneficial for city popping, for taking less damage. You can see I don't even have armaments equipped in there, so I was just using the arch formation for the 5% more normal attack damage. But if I were just to use him for city popping, I would use him for hollow square. But for here, I did have 2.6% attack, 4.7% defense, 7.9% health, 3.3% attack, and then pursuer. So the wielder's troops deal 2% extra damage to troops with 20% units remaining. So this didn't really happen all that often because, you know, if you're city popping, you're usually hitting full marches. And when you're in the field, you usually don't see marches that are under 20% health remaining. So this wasn't as beneficial, but this is what I had on my pakal. And lastly here, we have Guan Yu. So this is what I had on my Guan Yu. I had 3.6% attack, 4.9% defense, 7.9% health, plus robust, which gives me an extra 3.5% health, and hardy, which gives me another 2.5% health. So the health on my Guan is really, really good. This gives me an additional 6% health. So that puts me at a total 13.9% health for my Guan Yu, which is really, really solid. And now when looking at future KVKs, obviously we are going to have the new cavalry coming into the game here shortly. But I think what I'm planning on for next KVK, obviously this is going to be highly dependent on the testing that we see with Hugh. But I am, as of right now, planning on investing in Hugh at least to 5155. I think that would be very, very solid. But as of right now, I think I'm going to be running Nevsky with Joan or Hugh with Joan, and then either Nevsky with William or Hugh with William. So I have not invested into William fully yet. I do have him at 5411 as of right now. So I did spin him on the wheel a little bit because we do have the cavalry wheel right now. So I will be spinning another one here to get the extra 5 heads. I've been debating if I want to go to 25 heads, but I think I might save my gems for the Hugh wheel. That way we can actually see how good he is, especially paired with William, because, you know, we need to see more testing before I decide to, you know, invest into him. But I will be running that. I will also be running my Guan Scipio and most likely Pakal Herald as well. Otherwise, if I do decide to split those up again, like for example, if we don't do the Siege of Orleans, I could also keep my Alex in here as well, because that was one reason why I took Alex out, because I was using my Guan Alex as a pairing, and I wanted to use Alex's skill for the auxiliary skill, his 4th skill here, which, you know, adds an additional 30% march speed and 30% attack. So I wanted that on one of my marches, and so that was one reason why I decided to max Pakal, was to take Alex off and allow myself to use him as an auxiliary skill. But if we're not doing the Siege of Orleans, that kind of opens up my availability, my playbook for commanders. So I could still run Guan Alex and then still run my Scipio with Harald. Otherwise, if I still want to use Pakal Harald, it'll kind of just be like just depending on what the field looks like there as well. If if we're getting swarmed a ton, I might bring on my Pakal Harald. Kind of opens up, like I said, my playbook for commanders a little bit more. But then obviously using boudica zhuge is still my plan. But my infantry is kind of up for grabs here. And then if we do, like I said, see Hugh looking really, really good when he comes out, I will be fully crafting another cavalry set. So I've been saving up pretty much like a lot of gems and a lot of hammers. Let's see how many hammers I have saved up. I think I have over 600. I have 791 hammers available. And so I'm really, really excited for the next dig event because I will be able to almost do 1,000 hammers for that event. So I'll probably be able to get a lot of floors, a lot of blueprints. So I'm super, super pumped about the next hammer event because I believe I will be going fully into cavalry for that. And then I would have 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, and 1 archer pairings on the field, which I think is very, very solid. Obviously, I would like to have more archers, but I'm just not fully invested in them. If something comes out that allows us to use YSG again, I think that'll be definitely an option for me. But for next KVK, that is my plan. I think we are planning on going straight into another KVK after this one ends, our first pop-up, because we will be dropping Imperium and staying as an AC kingdom. So that will be really, really exciting. I hope you guys are excited to watch that next KVK because I think that will be a lot of fun to watch. So thanks for checking out the video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next